In this video, I'm going to be going over how you can implement the 2% rule into your trading so you know how much money you should put in each trade. When I just started trading, I had a smaller account. Personally, I started with around $2,000 to $3,000. I didn't know how much I should be putting in each trade, and I didn't know any good risk management skills, and I eventually blew up half of my money. So in this video, I'm going to be trying to help you guys who are going through the same situation. I'm just going to be going over how much money you should put in each trade and how to calculate it quickly while you're trying to day trade or swing trade a stock. So the rule I'm going to be going over in this video is called the 2% rule. So what is the 2% rule? So the 2% rule means you don't risk more than 2% of your account per trade. Let's say you have a $3,000 account, and this applies to even if you have a $1,000 account, a $10,000 account, $5,000 account. It doesn't matter. This applies to everybody. Just make sure it's 2% of your account. 2% of your account equals $60. So per trade, we are only risking $60 per trade. So if the trade hits our stop loss, we're only going to be losing $60. So let me just give a simple example. So since you know that your account is $3,000 and you can only risk a $60 loss. Let's say a stock is trading at $1 and your stop loss is at 80 cents. So if you know your percentages, you'll know that a drop from $1 to 80 cents is negative 20 cents. Right? So since this drop is 20 cents, that's equal to a 20% drop in the stock. So now you need to think, okay, that's negative 20%. How can negative 20% equal negative 2% of my account, which is $60? So if you do some quick multiplication, you can do 20 times 5 to equal 100%. So this 100% means 100% of your position size. So if 20% is equal to $60, then you can replace 20% with $60 and do 60 times 5. So you'll end up with $300. So you can buy $300 worth of this stock since you're risking a 20% stop loss. And negative 20% of 300 is equal to 60, which is your maximum loss. But let's say, oh, I want to put $600 in the trade. I want to buy 600 shares. So let's do the math on that. If you have $600 in the trade and it drops 20%, you're going to be losing $120 on this trade. So that's already way past your 2% rule up here, right? So negative $60 equals 2% of your account. 120 is going to equal 4%. Since $60 is 2% of your account, then putting $600 into the trade is too much, since you're going to lose 120 if you're wrong and you stop out. Let's do another example at a different price. So let's say this stock is at $10 and your stop loss is now 9. Now you're risking around 10% for this trade, right? Since if the stock drops from 10 to 9 and you stop out, that's going to be negative 10%. So now negative 10% has to equal negative 2% of your account. And since 2% is negative $60, you need this 10% to equal $60. So just like the last one, we have to multiply this to where it equals 100. So 10% times 10 will equal 100%. So now this is your position size. So if $60 is equal to 10%, we can replace the 10% and do 60 instead. So now we'll do 60 times 10, which equals $600. So this time you can put bigger size, right? So the last one you could only put $300 because the stop loss was 20%. So it was double the risk of this one. But now that this stop loss is tighter, negative 10%, you can put more money into the trade. You can put $600 this time. So if it drops 10%, right, you'll only lose $60. Even though the stop loss was a big difference between the last example and this example, right? This one's 10%, the last one was 20%. It's still the same 2% loss. So that way, you're only losing $60 every trade, no matter the stop loss. So this even applies for options. I know options are a little bit different since they have all that theta decay and stuff like that. But regardless, anyone trading options will still have a stop loss. So let's just say you want to buy some lottos and you're risking it just completely going to zero, right? You're risking it expiring. So you'll be risking a 100% loss, right? 100% loss. So how much can you put into this trade? If your account size is $3,000 and your max loss is $60, you have to make sure that this negative 100% on your options will only equal $60 since that's 2% of your account. So this one's pretty easy. You can put up to $60 into this trade, right? So if this goes to zero, you're only losing $60. A lot of people go too heavy on lotto trades. They'll end up putting like, let's say $500, and $500 of a $3,000 account, that's way too much. So if it goes to zero, you'll end up losing $500, and that'll damage you psychologically, right? Because then you'll be like, oh, I lost $500 on this trade. I need to put more money in the next trade to make it back. But if it's just as risky, you're going to be losing more money every time. So that's why we do the 2% rule, so that every single trade we lose in, we're always going to lose the same amount, and we're okay with that. Because in trading, you're going to have to go through losses. There's no way you're going to have a 100% win rate. So that's why it's so important to calculate where's your stop loss first. You need to know how much you're going to lose in the trade first, and then you can size in. So typically, the tighter the stop loss, the better. That way you can size in with more shares and you'll have more potential reward. Where you put your stop loss though is super important. Well, let me go over that. So when you're placing a stop loss, you want to put it in a place that makes sense. So you don't want to just go like, oh, okay, I'm going to buy in at $10 and my stop loss is going to be at 9.5 because I want to go in with a bunch of shares. But then let's say that the stock came up and it dipped and it was creating support at $9 instead. Okay, so if you buy in at $10 right here, but then it comes back down, then you're going to stop out as soon as it breaks 9.5. But if you saw there was support at 9 and it starts holding, and then it goes back up to, I don't know, $12, $100, then you're going to be like, oh, why did I stop out? I stopped out before it ripped. That's why it's important to know where to put your stop losses first. I'll go over where to put stop losses in a video in the future. I'll use real charts. You guys can apply it to the actual markets instead of just a squiggly line that I'm drawing on a whiteboard. Hopefully you guys did understand what I was trying to talk about behind the math. So you want to calculate how much percent is the stop loss. So if it's $10, stock drops to 9, that's 10% risk. Okay? You want your negative 10% stop loss to equal negative $60 if your account size is $3,000, right? So if your account size was $1,000, then that'll equal 20. If your account size was $5,000, then your stop loss would be $100. So for 10% to equal 60, we'll multiply both sides by 10 so that 100% equals the 100% position you're going to put into the stock. So if you do times 10 on both sides, that will equal $600. Okay? So this time, if the stop loss was at 8, if it's $8, Now your stop loss is gonna be 20%. Now you have to change your math a little bit. This time it's times 5, right? For 20% to equal 100%. And then you do times 5 to your loss, which equals 300. Okay? So now let's say your stop loss is 9.5. This time you're only risking 5% on the trade. So now negative 5% equals negative $60. If you do the math, 5 times 20 equals 100% of the position. So if you do the same thing over here, 60 times 20, that's going to equal $1,200. So this one you can size in a lot more, right? You can size in with $1,200 since the stop loss is only 5%. If it was 10%, you got to do half of that. If it was 20%, you got to do 300 because 20% of 300 is negative $60. The point is you want all of your losses to equal $60 every time. You want it to equal 2% of your account every time. When you're putting these stop losses, you want to make sure that you're putting it somewhere where it makes sense. I'll go over into detail in another video using actual charts, but just for this video, let's say that a stock, it's going up and it's bouncing at this support level, right? So let's say this support level is 9 and it's at 10. I know that some of you will want to go in with a ton of shares, right? So you can make the most money, but it's not about that. So what a lot of people might do is, oh, since this one is at $10, I want to put $1,200 into this trade. So I'll put my stop loss at 9.5. That's negative 5%. So since it's 5%, I can put in $1,200. But then let's say you bought it up here and then it breaks down and it hits your stop loss right here. Right? You're going to stop out and you're going to lose $60. But then the stock starts bouncing at 9 and then it rips. Then you're going to be like, oh, why did I stop out? I missed on a ton of money. But that's because you didn't put the stop loss in the correct place. You got to make sure it's at a place where there's clear support or somewhere that just makes sense with your trading plan. You don't want to put a random number as your stop loss because then you're just going to end up getting stopped out anyways. So like I said, I'll go over this in a later video on how to properly place your stop losses so that you don't get stopped out too early and then miss on the stock going up. I'll show real charts in that one, different examples in actual stocks so that you can apply it in your trading. I hope this video helps and it wasn't too complicated. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comments. I'll reply to you guys and make sure you can fully understand how the 2% rule works. You can message us on Discord as well at Rocket Signals. The server link is in the description, and make sure you subscribe. I'll be posting more videos like this to help newer traders, better manage their risk and learn how to find stocks on their own. If you guys have any suggestions on video ideas, leave them in the comments as well, and we'll take note of them for the future. All right, good luck traders. I hope you're able to use this 2% rule in your guys' trading, and I wish you the best.